Welcome. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we got a long agenda tonight, and you all know how much I enjoy long meetings, so I'm going to hammer right through this as quick as we can. We do have a couple additions. First, I need to add Gordon Christensen on a mature bond. Second, I need to add an executive session about an employee issue. Third, under department committee reports with listers, we need to add an executive session in addition with them regarding employment, employer, yeah, whatever. So those three things I need to add. Does anybody else have anything to add?
You added the bond, right?
Yes. Okay.
So moved.
So moved and seconded to add those three things. They will all go underneath, well, no, Gordon, everything will go underneath old business.
Who seconded?
Sandy did. I made the motion, Sandy
The
seconded.
listers were already in the committee.
Yeah, but we need an executive session with them as well. So, all right. So all those in favor of adding those items to the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Chair's remarks, I only have one. I got handed this, and I think it's a fairly cool thing to recognize Sandy Harris for 25 years of membership in the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. And we thank you for all the work that you've done for the town of Vernon and all the work you continue to do. Guests tonight, we have Marion Major, Gary Swindler, John Penny. Gary, I love your name. Energy audit and recreation lighting. So those are our guests. Are we going to talk about that now?
That was the plan.
Okay. Come on up. Let's talk about it. And somebody's got to tell
Standing here?
No, you come on up to the chairs here. I'm sorry, we got a mess over there.
You haven't seen my tape, my office.
Yeah.
This is nice.
We had a minor flood that caused us to rearrange a little bit.
Oh, okay. That time of year.
Yeah.
So I'll lead off. You may remember about a year ago I was here. The saga started with the evaluation of energy on this building through Farnham. They brought me in, and I just looking at the equipment and knowing that you may want to upgrade your lighting, it looked like it would be worthwhile investigating the whole package. So your town engaged with John Penny, supported by Efficiency Vermont, to evaluate your mechanical systems. I coordinated with a lighting designer who didn't charge for his work, but that just left some of the work to me to fill in the blanks. So what we have today, which I think all of you hopefully have a copy of, is
Yeah, it's in our packets.
John Penny's report. And then there's a summary that I put together that added both a focus on the lighting analysis that was based on a modern LED lighting upgrade for the whole building, indoors and outdoors. And I put it also into the same summary that John put together so that you could look at everything together in terms of savings, potential costs. The costs are all budget right now. So that's what we have in front of you. The secondary part of John's involvement was he's also working with the Wyndham Regional Commission in the wood heat program for Wyndham County, which is why Marion got involved, because John did an evaluation on the potential of offering transitioning to a wood boiler system, which the wood heat program, Wyndham Wood Heat Program, that's administered by the Wyndham Regional Commission, can really kick in a lot of support for that system. So right now what we have is in front of you a full summary of energy efficiency opportunities, and I think I can talk to the lighting specifically, but I think it'd be best for John and Marion John in particular, to talk about the mechanical audit that he did.
I don't know whether you've had a chance to look over my report, but I did summarize things in a little summary sheet that's in the report, and there were basically 5 energy conservation measures that I thought were really the low-hanging fruit, if you might say, of the systems that you have here that probably offer some pretty good payback. Replacing your air-cooled condensers, which are your air conditioning units. A lot of them are pretty old. The newer ones are a lot more efficient today, so that one takes a look at that. Maybe a couple of them anyways probably are not at the end of their useful life, but certainly ones that are close to the end of their useful life, you know, when you do change them out, obviously you want to try to go to something a little bit more efficient. And I think you have a program, don't you, to help with that if they pick a more efficient one than
Yes.
is above code?
So one thing, because this is mostly a budgeted summary, I did not put in Efficiency Vermont financial incentives. It's really better to put that in. You'll see when we talk about the rec department, when there's a more established hard cost, you know the equipment, you know the material cost, all that, then I can verify that the incentives will go there, and we can have a true cost-benefit analysis for the town. But for now, that is available. But I think it would be more prudent to see, based on just its own merits, each individual recommendation, which seemed to make the most sense for the town to pick at first.
One of the bigger items that I looked at, which is mentioned in maybe a couple of things as far as energy conservation measures are concerned, is really the air handling and ductwork system that's up in the attic. The first thing is the insulation is rather poor up there. You would save quite a bit of money under, you know, my ECM number 3 was to replace or add insulation to the attic. That's going to reduce your heat loss in the building. It also brings your air handling system within the envelope. I'm assuming that we would put insulation up on the roof rather than on the ceiling like it is now. That's always a poor thing to have an air handling system up in what in your case would be a warm attic in the summertime. That air handling system's only used in the summertime. It was probably intended to be a combination ventilation system and cooling system for the building, but the way you operate it is really just cooling only. There's a lot of components in that system that probably need to be replaced or upgraded. I'm not sure that you're utilizing, in fact, one of my ECMs is to put an economizer cycle in there. What that means is using free cooling rather than mechanical cooling at times when the outside air conditions help you with that. So I've got that in as an ECM. But overall, you'll see under my maintenance measures portion, the ductwork is very leaky. The insulation on the ductwork is in really poor condition. There's a lot of upgrade that probably should occur with that system up there, both from a maintenance and even a payback perspective of just making improvements. It'd probably be nice to have that system online all year long and be able to actually do some ventilation in the library and the main offices. Another item that I looked at was the piping arrangement that you have with the boiler system. There's probably an extra pump in there that's running all the time. That's a little bit of extra energy use, and it was just the way the original installation was done. I don't know why they put in, 3 different loops of systems in there when you could have only had 2. So it puts this extra pump in there that you probably didn't even need. And then lastly, I looked at a wood system for the facility. You've got a fairly large space over there. You could probably accommodate a small wood boiler in there and supplement your heating or make it your main heating, quite frankly, which would save cost in your overall operation and annual fuel cost from probably going to wood pellets or Another option is the semi-dry chip. That's something that I'll let Marion speak to a little bit. She's been working with the groups in the area that are offering that, and hopefully to become available, more readily available soon, especially from a local wood producer here. So, in a nutshell, that's sort of what I've gone through in the report. I don't know whether you have any questions or.
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
As far as the boilers, did you look into the possibility of replacing the burners from fuel oil to propane?
No, I didn't look at that. That is certainly something that could be looked at. One of the things about oil versus propane, and I think this came down to my conversations with Michelle, I think you get a pretty good price on both propane and oil. Oil is, you get about 140,000 BTUs per gallon, where propane you only get about 91,500. So when you look at the cost of the two, and even the efficiency of the equipment, there really has to be about $1 to $1.50 difference in price for them to be even. I didn't look at the gas, but it's certainly an option. Most people are upgrading to gas, partly because of the condensing efficiency that you get with a gas system, but it's certainly a possibility.
So how old are those Vidaris boilers in there?
They're not that old. They really do have a lot of life left in them, and my intentions were not to look at that as any kind of replacement. And that's why I didn't look at the gas. I didn't see any problems, although Michelle was mentioning to me tonight that you had some service done this year that was over and above what you thought.
Yeah, the propane would burn cleaner.
Well, you wouldn't
have
have
to service it as often.
Well, I'm a little curious as to what the service was. I mean, she mentioned that there were some zone valves that had to be replaced and whatnot, but that doesn't have anything to do with the boilers. So,
It all has to do with piping and valves. I think.
yeah, well then,
Most of the-
that's not so much the boilers. If they were doing service work on the burners and that was problematic, I think I'd be in favor of looking at maybe an upgrade somewhere, but I think they're relatively new,
Yeah.
so I didn't look at those as,
Yeah, it's just a suggestion. That's all.
yeah.
Mary?
Anybody else have any questions?
I was just
Yeah.
gonna, sorry.
This is, well, Marion's program is pretty substantial to help.
Yeah, so the reason that John kind of threw in the modern wood heat system as an ECM measure is because the Wyndham Regional Commission, we have a grant program available right now to incentivize the switch, the conversion of the heating system to modern wood heat systems. So it would be pellets or semi-dry chips. And we offer a 25 to 35% cost coverage of that installation. So really, we just want to help municipal buildings, schools, and nonprofits to make that investment if that's something that makes sense for them. And our funding is available through this coming December. So the program is wrapping up pretty quickly, so if it was of interest, it would have to be installed this coming summer. But if it is of interest, definitely please let me know so we can move forward and I can reserve some funding for this building.
Just had a question on
Yeah.
construction costs, $97,000 for wood. Does that not include the grant?
That does not.
No, I did actually
Oh, you
put
did.
Okay.
some incentive money in there. In the report, I put together a life cycle analysis, and I did include 25% incentive money here as well. And keep in mind, this is really just a budget number. It's not actually a bid project here. And I would like to mention too that, we've got several of these wood systems around the area. And I would encourage you to, and Marion can help with this, to make a trip up to some of these installations that we have, relatively small systems, which is what you would have here, and they work really well. And, it's all about the cost of the fuel. And buying local, reducing carbon footprint, These are all good points to the potential of having it here available to you. And these incentives actually are only available in the Wyndham County area, which is,
Yeah, but it's important to mention actually that our funding is from the Clean Energy Development Fund as part of the settlement between Vermont, Yankee, and the state. So really, we would love to fund some projects in Vernon.
Yeah, we would like to get some of that money too, but not necessarily have to buy something to get it.
Yeah.
Well,
Marion, I think last year I remember that, I can't remember if it was Wyndham Regional or not, had an incentive program for municipalities to install solar. Do you think that something like that's gonna come back around? Because it sounded like, your town hall, you could put it on your roof if it's reducing your carbon footprint, that there was some good incentives to do that.
I would guess no, not through the Clean Energy Development Fund, seeing as all the incentives that were in place for solar were so successful that the market really picked it up, and now they're like, great, enjoy solar, and now you can afford it. So they're really trying to push wood.
In a system like that, obviously there's a hopper system or something like that. How often would it need to be loaded in a building like this?
well, more typically, you would see some sort of storage system, either a silo, or you can build in, some sort of little bunker that has some sort of a screw conveyor that'll draw it out to a pneumatic system that goes to the boiler. We just had one installed up in Putney that is a good example of the bunker system and uses a rolling boiler. Really nice operation to go take a look at. And it's a relatively small project. It's a housing project with 3 buildings. I'd really encourage you to see one of these installations and in the smaller scale, which is really about what you need here. This isn't a huge building, and I think with the insulation, which I would do first, it's going to bring down the size of the system as well.
Is that what Putney Central School is using? They have a silo outside, is that?
Yeah, they have a wood system in there, and they've actually had some issues with that particular boiler manufacturer, I'll mention. So they're not the best people to go up and talk with, and they're not the only ones that have suffered some ill because of the particular boiler that ended up in there. Bellows Falls has a similar problem, same boiler manufacturer. So we're trying to advocate a couple of different manufacturers, the Okafin and the Froling, in the size range that would be here would be ideal. And they're really nice working machines.
and along with that comment, that was a really bad mar on the potential for uptake of wood systems. That's one of the couple of examples, and so I think the Wyndham Heat Initiative.
Wyndham Wood Heat.
Thank you. Wyndham Wood Heat Initiative, and also Efficiency Vermont is getting on the bandwagon too. Of basically these systems have to be engineered right, they have to be installed right, and they have to be commissioned, which also the commission also.
Yeah.
Do you pay how much?
Well, in addition to the 25 or 35% cost coverage that we have, we cover the cost of commissioning. So that's not wrapped into that portion, but we think it's really important for the commissioning agent to go in and do a check-in and make sure that the system is running as everyone expected and is functional, so that the end product is something that we feel good about funding and that will actually go on to produce heat for the building.
John, complexity, I'm just curious, I don't want to be act like I know what I'm talking about. So, in terms of but the commission, they're not just put a boiler in, and there's some integrated controls with existing boilers.
No one's asked the question, but if I could, I can give you an idea of what commissioning is all about. It's a third party that comes in and represents the owner, and they oversee the design. They oversee the team that puts this together, because there's actually several contractors, subcontractors to the mechanical, that put the wood system together, the conveyor system together, the controls for the system. And if there's going to be a problem, it's usually because of all of these hands involved. Commissioning person comes in and make sure that everything is in order, and then actually test the system once it's been installed, and make sure that it's actually working as it should.
Anybody else on the board have any questions?
So I know you have a big meeting. I just want to bring it to a closure in terms of kind of focusing on, first of all, there was a comment, I think, from people that you might be tacitly interested in lighting. So, and then there's certain aging equipment that you are probably going to need to deal with whether you want to or not. And so it's just a matter of, taking it to the next step and not getting overwhelmed by everything, but it's what we tried to do as a team was put together a kind of a shopping list of there's things that are great if you have the mindset. I mean, you'll never get this level of support beyond the next year or so for wood systems, but also certain equipment that's, your lighting. It can be, I think the evaluation is there. The exterior lighting in particular is a pretty compelling project. But just to kind of keep it in perspective of how you may prioritize things on this list based on your wants and probably near-term capital needs.
In that respect, Gary, can you tell me, is there anything on this list that we should make sure to do before something else? Because we don't, the whole reason for doing this whole comprehensive thing was to make sure that we didn't say, all right, well, let's replace our AC units and then ruin what we do by putting in insulation later.
Well, I think along with what John was saying, I would agree that insulation, if before any mechanical equipment.
So that would be
the
first thing to do. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Like,
I don't know that there's a priority of order here. One of the things the insulation can do for you is reduce the size of equipment. So, you'd have to reevaluate that once the insulation was done. But quite frankly, if you needed to replace condensing units, I would replace them one for one if they're already doing the job. Putting in the insulation is going to reduce the energy that's used by that same condensing unit. So you will still save, but if there's that potential to buy one that's just a little bit smaller because you insulate it, well, that's money saved as well.
so that would make sense to insulate first.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
that
that was our
information.
big concern, is if we fill everything with insulation, then we have to end up tearing half of it out to put the newest and best equipment in, and then we're throwing good money after bad to re-insulate again.
Yeah, that's very true. As far as getting access up there into that attic, you're going to have to come through the ceiling anyways. So if you did insulate, and you were insulating along the roof, you've got the same access you got now.
Yeah.
So it may not be an issue as far as what you have to deal with to replace equipment. At least that's from my perspective anyway.
And back just, a year ago, the thought was maybe John would evaluate systems that would basically not needed to be put in the attic, and then you could re-insulate along the ceiling.
Right.
And his analysis actually said, no, it'd be best to, so we kind of went through that, okay, that's not a good option based on the equipment needs that want to be upstairs.
Yeah, because we were talking about the ceiling too, and if we had to make the.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did look at all that then.
Do we have a proper ventilation to put insulation in the ceiling?
When you say ventilation, you're talking about roof ventilation?
Yeah.
Well, if you were to insulate to the roof, that would turn it into what we call a warm roof. And in doing so, you wouldn't be ventilating that space. If you put the insulation down on the ceiling, you do have a ventilated attic right now, what you would need to do, and that's going to prevent, a well-insulated roof system like that, or attic system, is going to prevent ice damming, excess heat up there. Fortunately, you don't run that equipment in the wintertime. And in a lot of buildings that have their air handling equipment up there, a lot of heat loss is generated by that equipment being up there. And that's what usually causes a lot of ice damming and problems in the attic. Personally, I'd like to see that you actually run that system in the wintertime, because you really should be bringing in a little bit of outside air to ventilate the occupants of the building or the occupied space. So I think there's a bigger project up there. Having all that ductwork and poorly insulated ductwork in a cold attic space and trying to do some sort of heating or ventilation with it is just going to expend a lot more energy. So getting all of that equipment inside the building envelope is a big energy saver if you head down that road to improve that equipment up there and use it for heating and cooling, or I should say ventilation and cooling.
Gotcha.
John, did you notice, I think, I didn't ask you about the fuel usage, which seemed to a lot of us, before you came along, to be pretty low considering the conditions of the equipment and the uninsulated.
Well,
ductwork.
again, I think one of the things I did in the report is I put together an energy use index, and essentially what that is looking at your total energy use of the building and dividing it by the square footage of the building. And there's published data of other buildings, similar buildings to this, across the country and how much energy they use per square foot. Their EUI, if you would say. Yours is a relatively low EUI. And I attribute that to the fact that you're not ventilating the building, you don't run that air system in the wintertime, and you're just using baseboard. And you have a lot of unused space, quite frankly. This basement is fairly large, and there's a lot of unused space, so you're not really heating it, it's sub-level. So I think that all attributes to this low EUI that you have. So I wouldn't use that as any kind of reason that we're saving all kinds of energy, we're better than all these other buildings. There's still plenty of energy to save with some of these improvements, so. And certainly to change fuel, to move to a wood system. You're gonna save in your cost of fuel with a system like that.
Very good. We all set, guys and gals? We'll talk about rec lighting. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Mary.
Would you like, I brought flyer when I'm gonna be back.
You hang out with me, Gary?
Yeah,
Let's do that.
We'll talk
like-
soon.
I kind of like this chair, actually. It's not bad.
Great.
The color's not my style.
All right, guys. I think you guys all kind of have a real, very generic description of kind of what I was going to touch base with you guys on. I think everybody's aware at this point that we had one of the 7 tall towers at the pool come down. I guess it was February when it came down. I guess it's just kind of a scary thought. The timing of it, if there ever could be a good time for something like that to happen, probably February is the best time for that to happen. So with that in mind, though, I made the decision to have the remaining 6 towers that were there, the tall ones, removed. So they are not there currently, and we have had that work's already taken place thanks to Josh King and Mike Renault and his crew. So we have incurred about $2,100 or so in bills, or we will have when we receive them for that work. I guess I'm here to talk to you guys about moving forward. What's a game plan moving forward? We had a rec board meeting the other night, and I think the thought from the rec board was to pursue replacement of not only the lights immediately around the pool, but all existing lights that were of that vintage, using the same style steel and the antiquated fixtures. So we do have a quote from both Josh and Mike that I was exceptionally pleased with. When this first happened, I kind of had my head in the sand, like, oh, I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know how. It's going to cost, and not to downplay the amount of money I'm presenting here, but I felt it would have been extensively greater. But replacing 7 poles, replacing 13 poles total with bronze powder coated steel, suitable for wet environments. They're 8-inch poles with topped with 23 total fixtures. Again, high output LED energy efficient heads, which Gary can probably speak to, and I can touch base on the energy savings that those would provide us. The quote of $27,325 to replace everything, I thought was exceptionally reasonable. We are, with the 2,100 incurred, we're talking $29,425. With thanks to Gary, he's been able to touch base with me and let me know that there are some efficiency Vermont rebates of $3,725 available. So that's a great benefit to us there, as well as $1,959 worth of annual energy savings in our utility bill if we were to go forward with this project, which puts us in about a 12-year payback. Which I think is all pretty exciting. I mean, I think that those numbers, while it's a lot of money, of course, it's within the scope of a possibility here. And I think it's something that would be responsible for us to do at this point. That being said, financing it, we have a couple of different options. Should you guys wish to pursue this, I will present those financing options to you. The Emergency Capital Reserve Fund currently has $1,646,000 in it, which it's my understanding that if we went forward with this project and utilized those monies, that at town meeting in, I guess, 2019, the way that fund is drawn up, we would have to put those monies back in. We also have the reserve fund, which, Cindy, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe it has $50,000 in it now.
Correct.
And that was established, maybe 5-6 years ago?
Yes, and it can be used at the discretion of the board. It does not have to be repaid.
Yeah,
It's
and-
at the discretion of the board.
Okay, thank you. And that was designed, I think, originally when we were first looking at budgets. Obviously, as budgets got tighter, the board had kind of thought, well, there's maybe some areas, maintenance-wise or whatnot, where budgets could probably be cut a little bit. And they said, well, we don't want to handcuff departments if something comes up that doesn't meet the $10,000 emergency capital reserve requirement, that we still want to have some monies available, whether, if a computer were to crash or something, we don't have money in our budget for that, but this fund is established with that type of thing in mind. So this project obviously would wipe out a good chunk of that, so I'm not sure if that's exactly the right move, but I don't know how often that account has been used either.
It hasn't been used at all since we established it.
Okay, so it's an option.
How does money get into that account?
It's voted on, the money that was put in originally was $50,000. It was voted on at town meeting. We set up the reserve, and every year, if they want to put money into it, they can. They've only done it once, but it's never been touched.
Okay, thank you.
So,
There's another option, by the way. And I don't know what those funds are earning per year, but the bond applications are up for the summer bond pool in the state of Vermont. And I think they're charging like 2%. So that's another option that you can look at too, is if we're making more money by leaving the money in a fund, then we would have to spend borrowing it through the Vermont pool.
Oh, okay. I
That
see what
is an
you're saying.
option, you see what I'm saying?
So if we're paying 2%, but we're making 3% on
Exactly.
our investment,
It would make
then
more sense
it makes more sense to
Borrow
go that
through the
way.
pool.
um,
We'd have to look at what the earnings were, but it's
So
not.
is there still
another
6
option.
poles that need to be removed? Is that?
there are currently still 6 poles. All power is off right now, so in my eyes, if we are going to move forward with this project, it needs to happen very, very quickly. We have no security lighting whatsoever at this point, and obviously as the season is changing, it's going to be used. There's no lighting there at all, as well as the fact that we are looking to sell our season passes and advertise what we're going to have available. And I cannot do that without having an idea of what type of lighting we will have. So at our last rec board meeting, I guess the goal was for me to come touch base with you guys and see if you would be willing to move forward with this project, and if at all possible to potentially avoid the bid policy, with knowing that we need to kind of move on it now without safety concerns, as well as advertising for the summer, that any delays could potentially have some ramifications. And given these 2 companies that we have worked with, I would be shocked to find out that there would be any greater savings to be had by waiting. So I don't know what your thoughts are. I'm open to questions, or I don't know if Gary wants to touch base on anything.
Just as a big picture, Seth called me and brought me in to evaluate the lighting, and just to it was a surprise to me. I'd never been to the rec center or the pool there, and those fixtures are older than Methuselah. It's amazing they haven't come down sooner. So it's just kind of an example of things that deferred maintenance. It's just there's a lot of the cost of this is just getting up to height, and then you decide the type of fixture you want on it. So. In terms of, so I actually, if you're interested, I got caught in the weeds, and I like to get complicated with things, and I evaluated the return, a 12-year return on the whole package, but if you take out a chunk of that, the poles need to be replaced anyway. It gets quickly down to, I don't remember, what was it, 5-year or what's without my glasses.
Incremental.
7 years.
Okay, yeah.
So 7 years, and then if it's just like if everything were fine, and you're just like, oh, we want to just go from the really old technology of lighting. It's probably like they stopped installing those types right off the bat, probably 12 years ago, 15 years ago. So if you want to, as like a retrofit, then that's like a year payback. So really, the evaluation is really the energy savings, is really the portion that makes the return on investment. The other is kind of a capital. You own the equipment. It's like a depreciated. Well, everything's depreciated, but anyway. So that's what I did, just for context, but also to show another way. What are you laughing at? Another way of helping to support a project where Seth called and said, we need to do this, and we made sure that Josh and his supplier got the right fixtures that we can support, and so that's, do it, keep us in the loop, and we can do as much of the financial support as possible. So.
Very helpful. What do you guys think? Questions?
Mr. Chairman, I think because of the safety issue, I would like to make a motion that we approve this and take the money from the Emergency Capital Reserve Fund.
That's the $50,000 fund?
No, that was the other one.
That's the...
1,646,000.
And we don't have to repay the money that we get back from energy efficiency would go back into the fund, so the only amount to be repaid would be the difference between the two.
Yeah. And that gets repaid at town meeting?
At town meeting, we do an article explaining what it is and how much we need, and then people vote on it.
Yeah. So with 1.6 million, it may or may not actually be voted to be put in there or not. It'd be up to the townspeople at that point.
Yeah, which at that point we paid for it, so it doesn't matter. So, okay. We got a motion on the table. We got a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to go forward with the bid of 25-7 utilizing the Emergency Capital Reserve Fund. Do you have any further discussion?
It would be 27,325.
27,325. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make one comment.
Does that include the 2,100
No.
for taking him down?
No, it would be 29,425 with taking them all down.
Okay, which we need to do.
Yeah, because that money would have been taken out of our current fiscal budget, and that would have to go back into our current fiscal budget, because we would have spent that. Well, I take that back. I haven't received that bill yet, so I wouldn't have spent it from our fiscal budget. Okay.
You have not?
Yep. Sorry.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make one comment. So far tonight, we're dealing with repair and maintenance of 50-year-old infrastructure. It's great that we have the nice town office building. It's great we have a rec center and the pool, but going forward, it's going to continue to cost more and more to maintain and repair these things. I just think at a certain point that the town is going to have to decide whether to continue pouring money into this infrastructure.
I can understand that.
Any other comments? You good? Okay, moved and seconded to have the total amount of $29,425 to take care of this expense out of the Emergency Capital Reserve Fund. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All set.
And my understanding is that bid policy would have been
Wait.
foregone in this situation.
Correct,
Okay.
because we've already agreed to the expenditure.
Wonderful. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary. I
Yep.
appreciate your help in
We'll get
this
started.
with the building as well.
How do you like the name of my road? Chuck Farm Road.
I didn't
How's
see
that
that.
for that?
I like that too. I like that too.
All right, good to see you. Thanks for
You're
your
a
time.
swindler and a kachuk.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And we have an additional guest that has been waiting patiently through our first set of guests. And Wayne Esty, come on up, sir. Come tell us about yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Wayne Esty. I am here initially to promote myself as a candidate for Vermont State Senator for Windham County.
God bless you.
Well, I've changed my modus operandi after listening to the energy conservation speeches this morning. I have 35 years of energy conservation expertise. I was the state of Connecticut's energy conservation expert. What I didn't hear from your guests were the low-cost, no-cost, unsexy projects that the town can accomplish with 1 month, 2-month paybacks. Attic insulation, I support all the things that they were talking about. What they did not talk about were weather stripping, caulking, pipe wrapping. Those are things that town maintenance people can do when they're not shoveling snow and all the other things, mowing the grass, because they're not high-tech, they're not high-cost, and they pay back. Their paybacks are months, if not weeks. If you think about a 16th of an inch gap around the foundation of this building, and you say, well, that doesn't need to be caulked. Except when you add all those 16th inches up over how many linear square feet, you have a hole in the side of your building that's 5 times the size of that window. And if you had if that window was out, you would put a pillow in it or a cardboard over it. But people don't think that way when, you know, Mr. Wizard showed the little glass, tall skinny glass and the short fast glass, which one has the most blue liquid in it. Turned out they were the same. Well, when it's a 16th of an inch, it adds up. And your town maintenance people can caulk and weather strip. The door I came in on is not weather stripped. The 2 thermostats over there, $40 each. They're not setback thermostats. You can set them so that on every other first and third Tuesdays of every month at 5:30, this room gets heated up and it's all nice and cozy for your meeting at 6:30, and it shuts off at 8 o'clock so that when you leave at 9, hopefully, the room will be warm enough so that when you go out the door and it stays cool, it goes down to 60 all night long. Those things don't cost a lot of money. I've heard this speech hundreds of times. They're sexy, they're big money, and the incentives that the state or the utilities are offering are not to their advantage. They're not to your advantage, they're to their advantage. Go back to B. I would gladly offer you any and all of my expertise for free. And at any time you want to contact me.
Appreciate that.
Now I'm back being a senatorial candidate, and you can read my little pitch there. What I think, I have opinions about guns. I have opinions about school unification. I'm against school unification. I'm against people shooting people for no reason at all. And they're not that simple. But what I'm more able to do is listen to what you want here. Vernon is a part of Windham County. I'm getting the impression from different far-flung towns in Windham County that their senators don't know that they even exist. Disorganized. Back to the lighting. Make sure you do not test the lighting the same time the pool pumps are on at the pool. I had a situation where your demand ratchet for the town set for a Boys and Girls Club doubled their electric bill because they happened to test the pool, the security lighting in the parking lot, brand new lighting, all efficient, at the same time the pool pump was on. And that cost the Boys and Girls Club twice the electric for the next 12 months because that's how their electric rates are structured. I think you probably have a demand rate here as well as an energy rate. You cannot ignore the demand rate. It is, once it's set, it's like a ratchet and it stays there for 12 months. Back to being a candidate, I'd like to see a Vermont state office here. There's no substantial Vermont state offices anywhere except Montpelier and Burlington. I'd like to see the Department of Public Utility Commission and the Public Utility Board relocate to Vernon. They're way up in Montpelier making decisions about Vernon's future for generations to come. I wonder, I'm sure they're sincere, dedicated, hardworking people, but they're not making decisions about their backyard and where they live and where they work and where their kids go to school. That is not an impossibility. I'd also like to see all this transmission infrastructure in Vernon be put to good use. The plant put, what was it, 650 megawatts? Those lines will carry 650 megawatts and more. Are they just gonna sit there and rust out? No.
Not if we can do something about it.
That's where you need to have a that's where you need a wood or biomass burning facility like they have in Montville, Connecticut. And talk about the little wood burning thing here, we're talking about a lot of wood that comes from tree fall, from clearing the roads, from Sosamos, wherever, and it is valuable. They truck it in 100-mile radius to Montville in Connecticut. That's how valuable it is. And the rest of it is thank you very much. I'll let you get back to your business, because not only do I have opinions, but I know when to butt out. So
Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Gordy, let's get you out of the way, because yours is gonna be quick, I think. I hope.
It is gonna be quick. So Josh, kinda got a little tired of you being the only one sitting there with an Edward Jones cup, so I come bearing gifts. All right.
Is this called bribery?
No, it's not bribery. This is just Christmas in March, early spring. There we go.
And I have no idea where this kept came from.
I don't either.
I still think it got planted
I
here
see
somehow.
you sitting there with stuff and nice bags, so you don't have to use plastic in the grocery store. It's all a beautiful thing. Your
Seriously?
life is good.
Is this like legal?
No. Turn the camera off.
We'll keep it short. Oh, I gotta pass out where I came here.
Got all excited about your bags and forgot about the business.
Hey, life's too short not to have some fun.
Absolutely.
All right. So, I'll sit down and be professional. You're welcome. A few weeks ago, we had a federal government bond, $200,000, that had an interest rate of 2.375% mature. And in conversation with Cindy, she needed 100,000 of that to help pay some bills, and gave me instruction that we can reinvest the other 100,000. And keeping in simply replacing the investments that we have, you have 22 corporate bonds in this large fund, 4 federal, and all I'm looking to do is replace the federal bond that you had, 2.37%, with a new federal bond that's paying 2.62%. Also, the bond is being offered at a discount. And what I mean by that is your $100,000 bond would cost you $99,760. Is that right? $703. Okay.
You're trying to cover the cost of the bags. I see what's
I had
happening.
to pay for it somehow. Well, no, actually, that's a savings to the town of $296.75. And the accumulated interest rate, which pays semi-annually, $2,625, goes back in to the account. So, questions? I covered that fast. I want to get you guys out of here, too. It's like for like, same federal bond funds for federal bond funds. Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions?
I don't necessarily have any question on this, but
Okay.
were you here earlier when Michelle was talking about a low interest?
Yeah, she should be a financial advisor with Edward Jones because she's making a lot of sense. Use other people's money, especially if it's cheap.
Well, yeah, I mean, but our funds return more than 2%
Well,
on average.
gotta just make sure that we differentiate between funds, accounts,
Yeah.
and bonds, okay? Because absolutely, your funds do better than 2%. This account, the way it's set up, the instructions given to me, ultra conservative. There's no risk here.
But I just want to know
Okay.
what she had proposed or brought up. Is that a good idea?
It is a good idea.
Current, considering
Yes.
our current investment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You get a motion on the reinvestment of this bond, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to reinvest this $100,000 bond at the aforementioned rate. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All set?
Okay, just a heads up on the information that I gave you probably 3 months ago. There are 5 more bonds that will mature this year. One in May for $100,000, one in July, one in August, one in September, one in November, all $100,000 increments. And I will be checking with Cindy first to make sure that the funds aren't necessary for town expenses at that time. Okay?
Excellent.
All right, thank you, folks.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the bag, too.
Oh, you're welcome.
Plastic grocery bags for me.
Saving the world one plastic bag at a time.
Yep.
We're finally to the open public comments, non-agenda items only. Seeing none, we are moving on to the department and committee reports with the Vernon listers. I know you need an executive session. Do you have stuff to talk about prior to that executive session? Or no?
It's all really related to personnel.
So we need to go on an executive session now.
I think it would be.
Okay. Regarding a personnel issue, please.
I'm moving on, let's do. I'm moving on to executive session on a personnel matter with disclosure at this time, which would detrimental to the town or individuals involved. Under 1 VSA 3133A3.
Got a motion? Second.
Yeah, with the listers and
And Michelle.
Michelle.
Okay.
And Cindy.
And Cindy.
And Cindy. Okay. So, can I get a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to go on an executive session, on personnel issue with everybody mentioned. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
7:22.
We are in executive session. All right, we went into executive session at 7:23, out at 7:40, no action was taken.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move to appoint Jeremiah Sun as an assessor to perform the duties of a lister as set forth in 32 VSA Chapter 121, Subchapter 2, until the next hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded to do all those things that you just said. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of regular meeting minutes from February 20th and the organizational meeting of March 6th. Actually, we should probably take these separately.
Yes.
So let's do the regular meeting minutes of February 20th first, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the meeting minutes of February 20th as written.
Second.
can, oh yeah, you can, sorry.
Yeah, we can.
What?
Relax.
Just counting.
Okay.
That's right.
All those in favor is accepting the regular meeting minutes of February 20th, 2018 as written, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And you're going to abstain, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just thinking that.
And then we were, don't want to put words in your mouth. I
Yep.
figured I'd help you out.
Yeah.
The organizational meeting minutes from March 6, 2018.
Mr. Chair.
Bueller? Bueller?
From the organizational meeting of March 6th as written.
Second. I just did the second thing.
You do a great job, Will.
Yeah, that's my.
You wore yourself out at the organizational meeting. I know. You're done for the year. All those in favor of accepting the organizational meeting minutes from March 6th as written, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Hey, Mr. Temporary Clerk, bills and warrants.
All right. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the warrants for, is that the accounts payable 8T?
Yep.
$79,784.19. Payroll of 10S of $10,107.70. Payroll 11S of $8,384.09. And also to ratify the account payable 7T of $22,514.94. Payroll 8S for $9,121.46. And payroll 9S of $7,473.30.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the warrants as read. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have passed. Committee and commission appointments, what we've been waiting for all night long. The most wonderful time of the year. So, I have a suggestion on doing this. Because we have this really nicely written document, and if everybody's happy with all the above, can we make a motion to accept all these committee appointments and such as written on this document?
You have,
We can't do that?
No, you can't.
you have a letter.
I hate that.
I'm sorry, because there's some changes. We've got a resignation from Steve Skibnowski, who is resigning from the NCAP, effective immediately. Did you get that in your packet?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So that needs to change. He is willing to stick with the Connecticut River Joint Commission and the Stream Bank Erosion Committee, though. And what else are we changing? All right, I'll try to go through the changes that we've got to worry about. The Deputy Health Officer, we've talked about that changing. There
Where
is,
is the deputy health officer?
it's on the first page.
First page.
Halfway down.
Okay.
No, it's the same. We have to appoint John Leonardo for the Wyndham Regional Commission because he filled a vacancy. And now we need to officially appoint him for the year. We need to add the Clean Water Advisory Council Committee and suggest appointing Tim Arsenault. He has agreed to serve on that. It is a branch of the Wyndham Regional Commission.
Where is that one?
It's, I just wrote it on your copy underneath Wyndham Regional Commission.
Okay.
The other thing, gosh, I wasn't planning on doing this. The town juror, Paul Fantini is our current town juror. Christian Howe is interested in that position. So you've got two people that are interested in that.
That's a grand juror, right?
Town jurors, what's on
Supposed to be
I
grand
think
juror.
it's
Oh,
grand
it
jury,
is?
yeah.
Mhm.
And have you reached out to Paul to see if he still wants to do it, or are we just keeping him on here?
I
for
don't
the
because I don't
year?
have his phone number. I don't
Okay.
have any of his contact
So that makes that
information.
decision easy.
I called I think I got in touch with most people on this list.
Okay.
Christine Barbarian needs to be replaced. But I don't think that's an appointment that you make though, is it? It's not, it's just on the list. Okay, let me see what else is there. I don't think anybody else has said they don't. Nobody said they don't want to do it.
You did speak
I-
to John Leonardo?
I did, yes, yeah,
Okay.
he's good to go. I could not reach Barbara Mosley. I did leave a message on her phone. That was good. I think that was the only names. Oh, and I didn't reach Emily either. Emily Vergobi.
For her term on the rec board?
For both, for the rec board, the,
And Green Up Day?
what is she on? The
Recycling.
Green Up Day. Oh, she did say she'd do the Green Up Day though. I talked to her quite some time ago about that. She's on elderly assessments and she is the alternate for Waste Management District.
She's also on the recycling.
You don't have recycling, the solid waste. She's on solid waste.
Oh, okay.
We disbanded in elderly assessment.
It's a nice stuff.
Oh.
I have two of them.
And I think, and I didn't get Steve Bird. I'm assuming the rec committee is the same. I didn't.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And I didn't reach Heather Frost. She never got back to me. I did leave a message. No, I didn't leave a message. I sent her an email.
Yeah, we don't have her.
And you want to
Her
accept
phone
the term
numbers.
of the board, right?
Sure.
That's a 3-year term, right?
I have no idea what my term is.
You were a 2-year, but I think it's because it's running every 3 years, so.
Oh,
you do
sounds great.
21.
For the town picnic? Or?
No, for
Rec board.
rec board.
Oh.
And Mark and Sally were there for a 3-year, 21 too.
You know how much interest I have in doing this right now? Let's just do it.
Come on, cowboy.
Are we going to keep the sheriff's department as animal control, animal pound keeper when they've been cut back?
I haven't.
Animal pound keeper is the Humane Society.
Okay, animal
So
Yeah.
control.
animal
The
control
animal
would still be the sheriff's department.
So we'd have to pay their,
Or we can have the health officer do it.
we can have your
Constables can do it.
Yeah, get a constables do it. Or Point Scott.
I just thought that we all have that job on top of 40 hours a week.
Yeah, I don't want to pay him for a call out to come handle a dog, no. I say we appoint Scott Lane. Congratulations, Scott.
Who?
Scott Lane.
Lane.
He's our
Second.
second constable. We don't have very many call-outs, if any, for that, typically. Let's start making motions and doing stuff and talking to the people.
So I move that we accept everyone, except those that you haven't reached yet. How's that?
I love it.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept everyone on this lovely list, except for those that haven't been reached.
What about your health officers? Before you do that, because you're health officers.
Yeah, we don't have them anymore. I took them out of the budget.
So then if we don't have a deputy health officer, if the health officer needs help, it goes to you.
We kind of do, because Annette has agreed to serve for free.
Oh, I'm moving that
That's-
on.
Okay.
Yeah? Keeping it. That's
Okay.
part of the motion.
So friendly amendment
Yes.
to accept everyone as written minus those who we haven't got a hold of, which includes
Okay.
Heather as the,
And having Scott Lane be the
yeah.
animal control.
So should we come back and have on the agenda next week
Oh,
to re-evaluate those that we do get a hold of? Or hear from them?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. That sounds really
What
great.
is Heather supposed to be?
What's that?
Heather, what do you have to put her in for? Have you
I
looked at the
haven't reached her.
application?
She's on 3
She,
different
she's
things.
in one of the group, she's in the group of the people that we haven't reached yet, so we can't make it a decision. And we want to appoint Chris as the town grand juror, because we haven't been able to get a hold of that gentleman, but Chris has agreed to do it.
I just don't have his phone number or an email address. I don't know.
So, okay.
Can I make a suggestion that maybe I don't like this. You can do this.
What?
I don't know, it's very, can we re-ratify it when it's all done? Because do you want me to reach out to Scott Lane too? Or is that just a done deal?
I think we should tell him.
We should tell him, but that's a done deal.
That's a done deal, so
Yeah.
I'm not, he doesn't have the option to say no. Is what, that's what I'm wondering.
He won't say no.
Okay,
Scott's a good guy.
because I
Oh, he's
didn't
used to
get a
be
hold of
second
him.
Constable anyway, wasn't it?
It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's tradition. It's family tradition.
Yeah, see, perfect.
Okay. Okay, and then, the last question I had too was there was some
You really want us to do this line by line?
question, no, last question. The tax committee, has that ever been, disbanded or is it still in place?
It's never been disbanded, to my knowledge.
It's never been disbanded. Okay, because I have not reached out to them, but I will. There's only like 2 people on here I need to talk to.
Yeah,
so.
and I will be on it now.
Then you'll be added to it?
Yeah, Jeff, Janet, Patty.
Listers.
Well, Jeff's
and
on
the
it,
listers.
Janet's on it. Jeremiah, we should take off.
Yep, because he's no longer a lister.
He's not a resident.
Well, that as well.
Bill is on it.
Bill is a lister,
Janet.
yeah.
And
Carol is a lister.
and you.
Yep.
It's everybody. And the alternate is Chris Howe, which I didn't ask about that. I don't think she'll want to do that.
We won't, we don't need an alternate for the tax committee. I don't know why you would ever need an alternate.
I forget there was a reason at the time, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so that leaves you with 1, 2, 3, 4,
Josh, I know you
5,
guys' names
6.
on there a lot.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Town can run without him.
That's good.
Zach? Okay. Okay, I can work with the rest, so there's only a couple people that I need
Well, you
to
have-
catch. I think it's
that's beside-
Barbara. Barbara, Melissa.
Okay.
And advertise for those places where there are vacancies.
Do you want to be in the cemetery committee?
Yeah, I don't care.
I think Marilyn just said yes for everybody
Yeah.
on there, so, okay.
Yeah, you should
Okay,
tell her no.
now I'm good.
You're happy now?
Yes, I just need to get a hold of people.
Okay. So we're gonna reaffirm, can you restate your
And
motion,
say if they
please?
agree, if the 2 people, wait, if the people that I reach agree, then it'll
I
be all
move
set.
that we accept those that she's already, Michelle has already contacted, and that if the others accept that, we don't have to revisit it again. Just clean that motion up.
Okay. A motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the appointed positions and furthermore accept those that we haven't got a hold of when they okay with Michelle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you to all those people
And thank you, Michelle.
that are filling in these jobs,
Whether they know it or not.
whether they know it or not. All right. I like that a lot better. We need to go into executive session again regarding an update on a legal matter.
Is this old business?
This is old business, yes.
Very old.
Oh, but it's also new again.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I move to find that premature general public knowledge of this, I presume it's the Diallo?
Correct.
Diallo, Vernon versus Diallo matter will clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage by disclosing its negotiation strategy. Discussion. Have a second.
Second?
Moved and seconded to go into executive session based on a legal matter. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay.
We're in executive
I
session.
move that we enter the executive session to discuss the Diallo matter with Michelle, our town administrator, and the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of Vermont statutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded
It's right here.
to go into executive session with the town administrator, Michelle Pong. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? We are in executive session at 7:58. We went into executive session at 7:58 PM, out at 8:02 PM. No action was taken.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into executive session on the appointment or employment or evaluation of public officer or employee per 1 VSA 3133A3.
Second.
Moved and seconded to go into executive session, employment issue. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? We are in executive session at 8:03.
Was Michelle on that?
With Michelle.
Public participation agenda items only.
8:32.
Seeing none?
What? 8:32.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Any action taken? No action
Hey, you
taken.
relax, okay? We went into executive session at 8:03 PM, out of executive session at 8:36. No action was taken. We have no public to participate. Correspondence and town administrator
Okay,
report.
the correspondence, you have all the correspondence pretty much in front of you. I do want to point out again, the whole glebe land thing, that the state legislator is considering a statute that will require the town to inventory all of our glebe land and decide once and for all, do we want it or do we not want it? So,
But
in anticipation.
did they gonna have some exceptions? I think UVM, they're letting, the UVM has so many parcels, they're not gonna hold them to it.
They're not gonna hold them to what? They're not gonna hold Burlington
To make a
to
decision.
say, oh,
whether they
maybe
want
the
something
state
or
is
not.
giving it to them, so that
I'm
the
pretty
town
sure
of
that is-
Burlington doesn't get to
I'm pretty sure
say.
that's the case with UVM, that the state is handing it to them.
Because right now Vernon gets to decide whether we want to keep the land or give it. But maybe Burlington might say, wait a minute, that's really cool, we're gonna keep it. I don't know what the UVM thing is, but
I think I heard something on the news about UVM just getting it. It's just yours.
they're not gonna let Burlington decide. I think that's the only. But we're gonna get to decide. So toward the preparation for that, I've asked Carol to start going through and doing that research to see what glebe lands we still have. And she's found a lot of state stuff in town, which I believe the state has already said, if you have glebe lands in town that belong to the state, it is now the municipalities. So she's got a lot of research to do, because we stopped collecting rents on those leases in, she said the 80s.
But
It's
if
really
you
last.
look at the number one book of the indexes, that's way back top shelf. If you go down the indexes, you'll see glebe beside certain ones. So it's an easy way.
Book number one.
It's not book one, but it's the index one. The the original index.
in and show her something?
Well, I could stop in and show you sometime. How's that?
I think that's
I'll stop in and show you.
Okay, so there's that. There is an addition to, can you please sign the town road and bridge standards network inventory? It's really more of an administrative thing that we need to report to the state.
He's so happy to sign it.
So we sign it, okay. And lastly, Josh is gonna love this, the fridge and the microwave. The seniors have complained that the microwave doesn't work very well down here in his kitchen, and the fridge no longer works.
And that's all we're gonna say about that. Is that it?
One more thing, in addition to your schedule, the second annual Southern Vermont Economic Development Summit is coming up. Registration starts on March 19th. The event is at Mount Snow on May 30th. And I will have that in your next packet, just so that you have it. But just a heads up. Okay, that's it. That's all.
Okay.
I feel like so much pressure is coming over.
Why?
Motion to
Why do you
adjourn.
feel-
Are you done? Are you done?
No, upcoming meeting schedule, Select Board Institute, Friday, VLCT Fairleigh. Regular meeting April 3rd, Town Officers Education, the 3rd or the 10th of April, and the WRC Energy Plan Public Hearing 4/9, Townsend Town Hall. What is not on here is, INDICAT meeting is Thursday, at the BUHS multipurpose room. At, I believe, 6 to 9. I'll be speaking regarding our side agreement with North Star. And I feel like there's another meeting that I should be mentioning, but
What was that date again, please?
that's this Thursday is the
22nd.
handicap meeting, the 22nd. So 2 days from today. BUHS
The
multipurpose
PUC.
room. Oh, yes, the PUC meeting is going to be, is that April 9th?
Did they finalize it?
Yeah, they have a date, but they don't have a time and place. Please hold. I think it's April 9th, but stay tuned. We'll have another meeting prior to that. And it'll also probably be on our Facebook page and our website at some point as well, because they do not have a time or place for it yet. But that's the PUC public hearing. So encouraging everyone from Vernon to come to that meeting and support the sale of Entergy to North Star. We're adjourned.